Big time banger at bantamweight, Matt. We have Adrian Yanez taking on Gustavo Lopez, and I have to call out some of the Fight Night Picks fans because they come after me and they say, oh, big time banger. That's not a big time banger. I'm getting you excited for this fight. We have Adrian Yanez that, listen, the poor man's comparison is young Jorge Masvidal or a smaller Jorge Masvidal. Gustavo Lopez brings the fire every time. And listen, he got the short end of the stick in his UFC debut, but if that's what it takes to fight Merab and get taken down for almost a record-setting amount of times, it's going to happen. Gustavo lost that fight. He comes out his next time, and he fights Anthony Burchak. And listen, this wasn't the Burchak of old that lost to Ian Entwistle his first time out in the UFC. This was a new and improved Anthony Burchak that really invested in his wrestling and his grappling. He had gone to the different grappling events out there in the world. He had taken on the likes of Ralphie and Stotts, of Bellator fame and fortune, and other big names. It was a new Anthony Burchak, is all I'm saying, coming out of 10th Planet in Tucson. And why do I mention Anthony Burchak so much? Because he was supposed to fight Johnny Eduardo in this card, and all of my research went to shit. But for Gustavo Lopez, what does he do? Beats the brakes off Anthony Burchak in the first round, and it was like, hey, this is the Gustavo Lopez that we knew and loved from Combate, the former champ over in that organization, with big wins over there. Like, you look at it. Let's pick out the losses. John Castaneda, you get finished. Marcelo Rojo lost to John Castaneda.
It happens.
Some guys do. So does Eddie Wineland, former WEC champ. You lose to Andre Ewell. It's going to happen. You lose to Jose Alday. Okay, you worry about it a little bit. Then you come back and fight Jose Alday and knock him out in the first round. So,
pretty impressive.
For Gustavo Lopez, what is he good at? Very good wrestler. Very good top control. Very good grappler. He's taking on one of the better young boxers and one of the better young up-and-comers that we've seen in MMA recently. And listen, I have to throw this caveat out there for Adrian Yanez. He was originally supposed to be taking on Aaron Phillips back on the Halloween card. And that was, Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall. He was supposed to be taking on Aaron Phillips. He got Victor Rodriguez. And we said it in the original prediction video. Victor Rodriguez isn't that good. And this fight doesn't make a lot of sense. And what did Adrian Yanez go out there and do? Boxed him up, kicked him in the head, finished him very impressively, and then came on with Fight Night Picks in This Week in MMA to talk about it. Now, Adrian Yanez, there's a great interview out there. You can find it on the channel. Gustavo Lopez, there's a great interview in the form of an article at FightNightPicks.com before this fight. So you can check both of those out. But if you look at Yanez and his record, he's fought Kyle Estrada to a split decision, LFA 78 in the main event. It was a 3-round main event, but we went back and watched that. What's Kyle Estrada if not a power puncher and a guy that's always there? You want to see an impressive record. Maybe he didn't win every fight, but Kyle Estrada's fought some of the best fighters out there. You look at that. A win over Kyle Estrada. A split decision loss to Miles Johns in the main event of LFA 55. A split decision loss to Domingo Pilarte. A loss in a second pro fight to Levi Mowles. Those are all big regional names that you either know from the UFC or you've seen around. Yanez has taken on those fighters. His boxing's great, and his defensive wrestling's pretty good. But I expect these two guys to clash right in the middle, and I love this fight.
This fight, again, I'm going to have to oversimplify it, but it's very easy. Can Gustavo Lopez take down Adrian Yanez? And this is going to be something that we're going to say for a lot of Yanez's career, because you're not going to want to stand at range with him whatsoever. He's got a really good kicking game, too, and everyone's going to bring up the fact, oh, he's like a tiny Masvidal. It's his boxing. Jorge Masvidal didn't knock anybody out until he came back from his weird retreat whole island thing. Up until that point, he won a ton of fights by split decision. And I understand he finished Cowboy, but when you really look through Masvidal's record, and he'll admit this, he was always very reserved, more reserved than he should have been. Adrian Yanez does not have that issue. He's a very aggressive fighter, but he's a smart fighter with his aggression. And I always think of Jeff Neal when I think of Adrian Yanez, not because they strike in the same way. Jeff Neal much more upright, he'll use his kicks a little bit more, but when they hurt a fighter, they don't just bum rush them and try to knock them out like Derek Brunson in the main event will. When Derek Brunson thinks he has you hurt, he just runs forward, throws a bunch of punches, tries to get you out of there. It's great if he can land those shots, but if he doesn't, he himself will be diminished for the rest of the fight. If Yanez has you hurt, he will still stay technical, and I do think Jeff Neal's the best comparison of this, because when Neal hurts somebody, he stays reserved, and then hits you with a big shot. Yanez will wait and look for the openings in your defense, and until he does fight a guy like a Merab Dvalishvili, like a probably Ricky Simone would look to take him down. Cody Stamann. Hey Dana, if you're watching, don't make Adrian Yanez fight Cody Stamen. Because I really like Adrian Yanez, and I don't want to have to sit here and watch him get 30-25 and out wrestled for 15 minutes. I'm sorry. I think Yanez can defend the majority of the takedowns in this fight. And the thing about Yanez too, and here's... You can't say it's true until we've seen it, but he has openly talked about his ground game and the fact that he would like the opportunity to maybe show a little bit more of his grappling in the cage because he has been able to up until this point. You're not saying Gustavo Lopez is the first guy you want to be testing your grappling out against when you are such a good striker, but I do think that there's more to Yanez's game than what we've seen in the UFC so far. I like him in this fight, and he's my new Jonathan Martinez, the weight class. Again, I gotta keep on bringing this up because I don't think I've been off on a fighter that bad in a very long time. I think Adrian Yanez has a very high ceiling in this weight class. Very excited for this fight because I do think we're going to learn something new about Yanez because Gustavo Lopez, like you had said, he's always going to be there. He likes to move forward, and he's a very aggressive fighter, which kind of plays into Yanez's hand, but it should be a very fun fight.
Sometimes your approximations on certain prospects are off. You have Jonathan Martinez, I have Adolfo Vieira.
Right,
it happens sometimes. But if we look at the overall votes on Tapology for this one, 816 of them, 91% Yanez, 70% by knockout. If you look at the odds, Yanez opened to minus 230. He got to about a minus 190 or thereabouts, and then the money's coming back in on him. So he's minus 210 right now. The money did come in at one point and bumped up for Gustavo Lopez. He opened to plus 195. He's now to plus 170 or thereabouts. I think it's a little bit closer than the odds. I think it's a little bit closer than maybe the fans would go with. Now, Adrian Yanez, the knockout of Brady Huang is amazing. The knockout win over Victor Rodriguez, amazing because he slept him. Victor didn't belong. Listen, sometimes you come from Alaska and you're great, like Jared Cannonier, and sometimes you come from Alaska and you're not great. You're just not great. Uroš Medic made a huge impact. For Gustavo Lopez, though, he's got that veteran savvy. He can get those takedowns. And he's not a dumb fighter by any means. You look at the way that he strikes, he gets it. He's not going to take some of those, undue risks that you see other fighters take. And he's an extreme couture guy. You have to expect that you have a great game plan coming into a fight like this from a camp like Extreme Couture. So would I be surprised if Lopez won? No. Is it a pop and popcorn fight for Craig? Yes. But I will ever so slightly side with the younger prospect here in Adrian Yanez. I love the fight, a possible fight of the night, a Fight Night Picks pop and popcorn fight. Will the shirts come out soon? Maybe they will, but I'll tell you what, 25% off, FightNightPicks.com.
We're fishing for deals.
Use that promo code FNP25 for this week until Saturday. We're both going with Adrian Yanez to pick up the win. Love the fight, love the card. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt, as we always say. Let's get into it.